What's up, guys? Dave Mate, circle of drink. Get your gourds up, get your mate, get your thermos, and prepare for the drink of the gods. The #1 drink in the world, most nutrients, aka liquid vegetable, aka green gold, aka yerba mate, aka Ilex Paraguayensis, aka Yerba mate, aka Paraguayan tea. Today I want to give a brief mini review of the relationship between mate and Paraguay. You know, a lot of times we talk about mate originating in Paraguay. Mate is from Paraguay, I said with conviction before in the past, but I have to correct myself because that's not entirely true. A lot of that isn't true necessarily because the land that we now currently know as Paraguay used to be a lot larger in territory. A lot of that land, major territories of that land, over 60,000 square miles of that land has been annexed or added to what we now know as the Misiones in Paraguay, what we now know as Mato Grosso in southern Brazil, and even parts of Bolivia are now used to be part of Paraguay. So in order to really understand the range of yerba mate, this range is about over 200,000 square miles, spanning across Paraguay, Argentina, Brazil, and let's say the northernmost tip of Uruguay. Other than that, that's the span. There's no other real range of Ilex Paraguayensis. If you compare all the research, I guess it's fair to say that mate was found in most concentration in what we now know as Paraguay. And keep in mind also that the northern part of Argentina, the Misiones, a large part of that used to be Paraguay. So you can't really look at Paraguay in a very simple context. You can't look at it as the originator of mate, the origin, because when you deal with plants and deal with botany, you have basically two classifications. You have the origin of the plant. Where was the plant originally found? Where was the plant's original habitat? And then you have the plant's natural habitat, and that becomes where the plant is naturalized. So mate could be naturalized in another area, for instance, maybe southern Uruguay, where it was not originally from there, but it could grow there, it's naturalized there. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about mate's range, original range, and that range, to be fair, spans across several countries, predominantly Paraguay, Argentina, and Brazil. Over 500,000 kilometers square. So, that clarification needs to be made. Mate is not only from what we know as Paraguay today. It spans across several countries, and it has about a 200,000 to 280,000 square mile range. My friend over in Brazil helped me to understand this. He's a forestry major. My friend Bruno, you're going to be hearing a lot about him because he and I are going to start making weekly mate episodes where we just talk about mate, circle of drink episodes, where every week, every Monday, I'll publish a video. The first one's going to be this Monday coming up, Monday what's today, the 9th, so 10th, 11th, Monday the 12th. I think it's the 12th. It's going to be the first video, August 2010. 2012. Wow, I'm rusty. So, when I drink mate from Paraguay, which I'm drinking right now, I'm drinking a brand called La Rubia, which means the blonde woman. I feel something special when I drink mate from Paraguay. And I'm not just being whimsical, I'm being truthful. I really do take a lot of pride in drinking mate from this region. Why? Because mate is so intricately woven with this country, Paraguay. At one point in time, before the Paraguayan War, which became known as the War of Triple Alliance between Paraguay, Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay, Paraguay was a powerhouse of mate. In fact, Asunción, which I believe is the capital of Paraguay, used to be the main control center of mate throughout the entire world. I would say at one point they controlled about 95% of all mate production in Paraguay. This is dating back from, the mid 1500s up until the mid 1600s, 1670s or so, before the Jesuit priests got kicked out of the Misiones reductions, which spanned, mind you, across all those three countries. Those reductions, or Misiones, or basically what they were churches spreading Catholicism throughout South America, spanned across a lot of these countries. And a lot of these countries, the barriers and the borders during this time, we're talking the 16th century up until the mid 17th century, early 18th century, were ambiguous at best. There were still a lot of wars being taking place during this time. In order to really study mate's region, you have to study the War of Triple Alliance, because that war had a lot to do with the territory of Paraguay being chopped up into pieces. Now, I don't want to go too deep into the history of the Paraguayan War, because, like I said, this is a mini review, but let's just say after the year 1877, Paraguay has been chopped up. Over 60,000 square miles have been taken from Paraguay, and several years prior to that, Argentina actually wanted to split the country in half. They wanted to give half of the country to Argentina, and they wanted to give the other half to Brazil. But Brazil said, no, we're not going to have that. We're going to preserve a part of this country called Paraguay, and we're going to use it as a buffer zone that will lie and remain in between Argentina and Brazil. Brazil also did that strategically to protect themselves against Britain. England had a major interest in Paraguay from the cotton industry and other industries that they've always had their hands in South America. Let's say that. So Brazil made a strategic decision to preserve Paraguay, what we now know as Paraguay, and not let the Argentinians chop it up into halves. After they came to that decision, let's say by late 1870s or so, Paraguay was pretty much cut up and divided into what it's now known as Paraguay, the region of Paraguay now. But prior to this War of Triple Alliance, which started in 1864, let's say there was about 500,000 people living in Paraguay at the time, population 500,000. After the war, which ended in about 1870, there was a reduction in the population of Paraguay of about 60 to, some accounts go all the way up to 90%. They were totally decimated, the population of Paraguay. That really, really displaced the mate industry in Paraguay. Paraguay was no longer a powerhouse of mate. No longer a powerhouse. Now keep in mind, back in the late 1500s, up until, mid 1700s, Paraguay was the spot. But after the War of Triple Alliance, which ended in 1870, Brazil decided to stick around and basically run things. They basically took over Paraguay for about 7 years. They had their military posts in there. They had a provisional government, and they totally made sure that Paraguay was not going to be a powerhouse anymore in yerba mate, because they knew how powerful yerba mate was. So basically insider investors came in and they tried to run the mate plantations, but it pretty much failed at that point in Paraguay. It wasn't a thriving business anymore. So Brazil took the reins over and they became a powerhouse at the time. All the way up until, I'd say, the early 1900s, when they became more interested in cultivating coffee. So then Argentina stepped in the early, 1930s, 1940s, and said, okay, let's take back the reins of mate, let's grow it in the Misiones. So what they did was they actually installed European settlers, German, Swiss, Russians, what have you, and they actually gave them territories to grow mate in what is now known as the Misiones. But keep in mind that the Misiones was not always Argentina. Argentina annexed a lot of land after the War of Triple Alliance that is now known as the Misiones region. So mate technically originates from the Misiones, as well as it originates from common-day Paraguay, as well as it originates from southern Brazil, which is Mato Grosso and Catarina, these sort of places in southern Brazil. That was just a lot of information I just gave you guys. And it probably wasn't the best, most well-organized, but it's just a little review on my appreciation for mate and my appreciation for the country Paraguay, where it's deeply steeped in the history of mate. So, some brands that I love from this region are Palo Alto. Palo Alto is a nice yerba. It's aged about 3 years, and it's in the, I believe it's in the Paso Chobay region, which is about 100 miles north of Obligado. Obligado is in southern Paraguay, and Obligado is known for their mate called La Rubia, which is a beautiful, beautiful organic mate. Very good mate. And in that region, which now is in the Misiones, there's two great companies which I love, which produce really elegant mate, which is Kraus. Kraus is in San Ignacio, which is on the border of Paraguay and Argentina. And then there's, if you go a little further northeast, you have another company called Pipore in the region of Santo Pipo. So you have these four major mate companies in this region, which is literally in between Argentina and Paraguay, except for Palo Alto, which is further north, which produce, I think, in my humble opinion, some of the best yerba in the world. This little region right here. I don't know why. Perhaps it's because it's the range within the water. They have that stream. I think it's called the Paraná River. Perhaps it's the soil, the climate. I'm not sure. But there's something to say about that mate that comes from that region. I think it's some of the best mate in the world. So when you drink mate from, let's call it Paraguay, and also on the border of Paraguay, which is the northern part of Argentina, take pride in knowing that you're drinking some of the best yerba in the world. You really are. It's some of the best yerba in the world, in my opinion. The cigar went out. Actually, let me show you these mates I have. This is La Rubia. Pajarito, beautiful, beautiful mate. It doesn't have the same kaleidoscopic flavor profile as La Rubia and Palo Alto, but it's very good. Palo Alto. And this is from a region, like I said, it's called Santo Pipo, which is on the border of Paraguay. This mate right here is one of the most reliable mates I've ever had. Smooth, dependable, no surprises, which is a good thing. And sometimes people like surprises with their yerba, depending on how you feel. But this is a solid mate. You're going to see me talking a lot more about this in the future. You can get all these yerbas on a really good company called yerbamate.com. No, I'm sorry, not yerbamate.com. Yeah, it is, yerbamate.com. No, go yerbamate.com. Go yerbamate.com. Yerbamate.com is Eco Teas, which is, you know, pretty decent mate, but they only sell their own brand, they don't sell these. Cool, guys. So let me not keep on going on and on and on. Like I said, every Monday I'm going to have a mate video that talks about something about the history of mate, what's going on with mate, who's drinking mate. My friend Bruno and I, Bruno's from southern Brazil. We're going to kick this off on Monday, this Monday coming up, so stay tuned for that. Every Monday following, there's going to be more videos. And let me know what you guys know about Paraguayan yerbas. Also yerbas from the border between the Misiones and Paraguay. Let me know what you think about those yerbas. And let's keep this going. Salud. It's Dave Mate signing out. Check us out at circleofdrink.com, where we're doing mate reviews, mate everything. You could buy a gourd from us, you could buy a bombisha from us, and in the future perhaps you'll be able to buy yerba from us. We hope to start selling different brands of yerba on our website. Not necessarily our own brand, but different brands, because I personally love all mate, different brands of mate. I currently have drunk over 35, 36 brands of mate. So, in that spirit, I would like to offer all different sorts of mate from different companies on my website eventually. And we're going to keep on going with the education, keep on going with the mate reviews, keep on going with the mate love. This is the most powerful drink on the world, people. This drink is just magical. I just love it. I drink it every day. I'm drinking 2 liters of it a day. I don't say that to be like, oh, I drink mate so much, I'm the best. No, I'm just, you know, that's just my story. I just drink a lot of it. I love it. I'm always going to be drinking a lot of it. Fortunately, people reach out to me from all over the world who tell me their stories about mate, how mate has helped them in their lives some way, helped them with different diseases they had, helped them with even relationships, connecting with people, spiritual aspects, metaphysical aspects. You know, my theory is, and I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but mate is going to become very, very of an interesting topic to a lot of scientists in the future. Right now, the mate, the pharmacology of it is very young, only about 7 to 10 years. The recent pharmacology of mate. I believe that a lot of the science of psychoneuroimmunology, which deals with the nervous system, it deals with the emotions, the mind, and it deals with the immune system. The 3 combined together, which means how you're living, your environment, which means what are you eating, which means how are you interacting, interpersonal relationships, how is this holistically affecting your health. I believe that mate is one of those plants, one of those herbs, along with Camellia sinensis and Cannabis sativa, which is up there in this category of plants that are going to be studied under this science, the science of Ayurveda, the science of holistic healing, because mate is so powerful that it not only affects you on a physiological level, on a immunological level, on a chemical level, but it also affects you on an interpersonal level, on a spiritual level, and a metaphysical level, and that can't be said for all plants. Salud. This is Dave Mate. Peace out.
What about the forests?